So today's game day. It's a big day. Go Dogs. Thank you very much. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of what I like to do on game days to get started real early. So right now, all we're going to do is get the meat ready, and then we're going to let it rest for a couple hours in the marinade. And then I'll cook it about an hour before the game. Should be all you need. Today we're making butter burgers. So right now what we're going to do is get our compound butter going. Just need 2 sticks of butter, pre-softened. You don't want to do this with hard butter, or it will just end up a big old gunky mess. You don't want to do that. So just throw that into a bowl, right like that, right like that. And now, compound butters, you can use any kind of seasoning that you want to. You can use fresh herbs, you can use dry herbs. Regular seasoning is what I'm going to do today. We're actually going to make a compound butter with a little bit of seasoning called Everglades Fish and Chicken. You can do it, make it a little spicy. You can do a Cajun seasoning, anything like that. But this right here is what we use. Everglades Fish and Chicken. Now we do have the original that's going to be in the burger mix. My favorite YouTuber, Mr. Robert Arrington, thank you for turning me on to Everglades. It is amazing. So all you do is put that in the butter. Now what this is going to do when you put these inside the burger patties is the butter is going to act as like a transmitting to get that all the way through the meat. So it's not like you're putting it on top of the meat, then the inside of the burger could be dry, the inside of the burger is not going to be seasoned, things like that. So see, that's what I'm saying. If you get it soft, soften butter, and then mix it up, you can already start to see it's color changing. It really gets in there and it's not difficult to use. So make sure you leave the butter out for maybe an hour or two, depending on where you're at. Down here in the south, it does not take that long. It is very warm. So normally it will get to room temp fairly quicker with the ambient. So that's all you need right there. That's just a compound butter. Now, if you're gonna make butter burgers, you do want this to harden after you make it. You wanna be able to just get a little bit out, put it in the middle of the 2 patties that you're gonna make, and then grill those. So what I'll do is I'll set that in the fridge in just a minute, let that harden up some, and I'll be able to slice it up, scoop it out, put it in there. That way it's not runny all over the place when I go to make the burgers. So what we have here is 80-20 ground chuck. It's a great mix. With burgers, you don't want them to be dry. So 80-20 is actually a really good mix. I've had this put up for a little bit, so you can just get it out, aerate it a little bit, because you're going to mix that stuff in there. So you can see 80-20 is what you really want to go with for the burger. Great. Wash my hands. What I'm going to do is chop up an onion. I like onions in my burgers. If you don't like onions, don't put onions in the burger. It's whatever you want to do, guys. It's really up to you. I like onions in the burgers, but I don't like big chunks of onion in there. Another little happiness that I like from my favorite YouTuber is silver stack knives. I got that from Mr. Robert Arrington as well. And he is for sure correct. These knives are crazy. They are fantastic. So to me, we went and got them. I've actually got one for Christmas the last 2 years, and I use this knife every time I cook. It's the chef's knife, and it is fantastic. So I would highly recommend Silver Stack to anybody that's looking for a good knife. Now, I split it right there at the root. It's going to do 2 things, okay? That is going to make the onion not leak or not cry, which then inevitably makes you not cry. That's where all of you getting the tears in the onions, you cut that off, it starts bleeding, it comes out like that, and all those juices are what makes you actually cry. So put the root down like that and come over the top, hold it like a tennis ball, and use your knuckle to guide the knife. If you use your knuckle to guide the knife, you're never ever gonna slice your finger. Do it right like that. You wanna get as close to the root as you can without going through it. Just like I did right there. Do that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab it like a tennis ball. You're going to come in the middle right there. You go up, You're gonna do one up top. And then when you come back through, hold it like a bear claw and come down. It will start to mess with you if you go through. It gets more difficult, but right when you get to the end, you will have plenty of diced onion. I use a half of a small sweet onion. I live in Georgia, so Vidalia is the way we like to go. You can use whatever you like, but look at that. That's all the waste that you got out of that onion right there. That's it. Toss that out. And again, I like them really fine. So what I'm going to do is get that, use the back of the knife. If you do it like this right here, you're going to dull your knife. You don't want to deal with a dull knife. So use the back of the knife, get it all right there, and then just roll through. I know it's got a big handle, but you don't want to be back here. You have no control over the knife. The knife kind of wants to be an extension of your hand. So you put one finger in your thumb, the base of the knife, right at the blade, and then wrap your fingers around. And then you can just chop. A lot of people want to do this. Just leave it on there, and that again is going to dull the edge of that knife. You don't want to do that. Use the back of the knife, scoop up the onion. Then another little tip that I like to do, everybody that does this, usually puts everything in there, and that's fine. But to me, it doesn't disperse everything as well. So I put half of it in there first, and then roll through. And roll through. I actually have a little bit too much for this bowl. You'll hear me say a lot. Don't overcrowd your pan. Don't overcrowd your bowl. This is the same thing. Don't overcrowd stuff. So actually, what I'm going to do, I'll make it work. But don't do what I did. This is a little overcrowded, but I can make it work. All right, that's rolled through. Grab the rest of your onion. Now, I know I went from raw meat to the cutting board, but I'm not going to use the cutting board again, okay? We're going to put it in the sink, and I'm going to wash my hands. So, don't worry about that. Don't cross-contaminate. It's okay. And then roll the rest of the onion through, and really get it in there, guys. Don't just roll it over the top. You want to get it in the middle. And you can see the onions start to get through there. And break it up. Break it up. I want you to really roll it through. And not make a mess like I'm doing. Or it's your house. Make a mess. Do what you want. Live your life. And a secret, usually people wash their hands in warm water. You can get it as warm as you want. You're going to have a little bit of that fat that is in that ground beef on your hands. The warmer you get the water, the faster you'll be able to get that off. Do use a good soap so it doesn't like gunk up your sink. Too much of that will give you plumbing problems. But the warmer the water, the better you will get that off the faster. So now I've got the onion in there. The other herb or solid state that I want to use is garlic. I love garlic. I use garlic in pretty much everything. If you don't like garlic, again, don't put garlic in your burger sauce. It's all up to you. Woo! So we've got onion, got garlic, got 80-20 ground beef. We're going to use a decent amount of seasoning salt. I actually prefer this to just regular salt. It gives you a little bit more flavor. So a decent amount of that. Now do pay attention with your other seasonings, okay? Everglades has a little bit of salt. Mississippi grit is another thing we're going to use in this. Doesn't have salt in it. But if you have one that has a lot of sodium, you want to not use as much seasoned salt, or may not use seasoned salt at all. You'll get the saltiness. The last thing you want to do when you're doing this is over salt something, because you're not going to get it out. It's just terrible. You're sad. So this is Mississippi grit. A little shake of that, and then this again. Robert Arrington turned me on to this. This is Everglades Original. I put this on everything. I put this stuff on everything. It's amazing seasoning, from wings to pizza to burgers to pasta dishes, everything. I put it everywhere. So that's the dry. Now to make sure it doesn't dry out any, not that a butter burger is going to dry out, a little bit of Worcestershire. That's how we at least how I say it down here. And a little bit of Dijon mustard. You can use any mustard you want. You can use stone ground mustard, regular yellow mustard. I like Dijon. Again, it's a little bit more flavor, adds a little bit of spice to it. So you're gonna throw that in there, and then you're just gonna get your hands dirty. You're gonna throw that in and just work the meat until everything is mixed up and doing well. You want all that flavor in there, because again, this is going to make probably 8 burgers, maybe 9, depending on your portion size. Butter burgers to me are going to be 2 1/4 pound patties, so each burger itself is going to be a ½ pound. You're going to have a 1/4 pound and then a little bit of that butter in the middle, and then you're going to encase it, which I'll show you later, in another 1/4 pound patty. So these burgers are not like sliders. I know on game day a lot of people do sliders, or a lot of people do smaller ones. This is a 1 burger should be able to feed 1 person. And then when you get there, settle it down so you can put the top back on. I'm gonna wash my hands one more time. Again, using more than warm water. I use hot, but I've been cooking for a long time, so my hands are kind of used to it. Last thing I'm gonna do is sprinkle a little bit of beer on it, right like that. Now, again, if you don't like beer, maybe not do this. If you do like beer, try it out. If you don't like beer, try it on 1 burger. Just put 1 little bowl out, give it a shot, see if you like it. People do beer on steaks, and this and that, and that little bit of beer is going to give you the flavor. The alcohol is going to cook out, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's not going to overpower anything. I'm not telling you to put a whole can in there or a whole bottle, whatever. And you'll notice I used a light, refreshing beer. I'm not using like a double IPA or a heavy wheat beer. Just a regular old American lager, light lager, any of that. So it's not overpowering. Work that in one more time. You can't really overwork ground beef. So the more you do it, the better it's gonna be. You're fine, don't worry about it. Get that down. We're gonna throw the top on it. I'm gonna let these sit for about 2 hours. Again, I'm gonna start cooking about an hour before the game. Should be all the time you need. And then in just a second, you'll see me start to prep the red double baked potatoes. They're delicious. So we'll see you in just a minute. All right, guys. So what we've got is the meat settled in, got to marinate for about 2.5 hours. I've already put them out into 1/4 pound patties, right like that. So to make the butter burger, this is what you're gonna do. Your butter is a little bit more solidified. Just gonna take a butter knife, slice some of that out of there. If you want to make it easier, you can actually put the butter when it's soft, put it into some saran wrap, roll it up, and then you can slice them off. That's also a really nice way to do it, make it a little bit easier on you. So all you're gonna do is take your compound butter right here, just get it into a good little medallion, and it is hard enough, it's fun, you can actually form the butter pretty well, right like that. You got your patty there, you're gonna put the butter right in the middle, take another patty, put it on top, and then you're just gonna crimp the edges. Now you're gonna say, oh, that's huge, that's a big burger, whatever. Think about it, guys. The burgers are gonna shrink, okay? When you cook a burger, it shrinks up a little bit, always does. So don't worry about the size of the burger, worry about the thickness of the burger. So if you get a burger that's about that thick, you're gonna have to do that on a low, medium heat to get it done all the way through. These, if you get flattened out enough, that right there will reduce by about 20%. All the fat's gonna melt down. It's gonna be just fine. So don't worry that it's too big. And that right there is what your butter burger is gonna be. So next up, I'm gonna knock all these out. You'll probably see next the double baked potatoes. So keep an eye out. I'm gonna knock this out and we'll get right back with you. All right. Guys, so I got an update for you. Got red potatoes. They're small red potatoes. All you gotta do is wash them off, poke holes with a fork in them just so they don't explode, anything. You can bake them in the oven. It's like me in the South. It's hot. So I don't want to turn the oven on, get the kitchen all hot and everything. It's perfectly fine just to microwave the potatoes until they're soft, cut them in half, scoop them out, then make like a regular baked potato. A regular mashed potato. When you get that done, you're going to put them back in the skins of the potatoes, cover it in cheese, and you're going to end up with something that looks like that right there. Now that's before. What you need to do is bake those one more time, and when you bake them one more time, give you those twice baked potatoes, you end up with this kind of deliciousness. What's going on, Fam Jam? Sorry about that. We got super carried away with the game and everything, but let me tell you straight up, everybody enjoyed those burgers. They're delicious. You won't regret it. Go out there, grab those ingredients, put them together. Let me know what you think. If you make them, leave a comment down below. As always, please like, share, subscribe. Really helps me out. It'd be great. And we'll see you next time, Fam Jam. I'm out.